Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today I'm taking a look at one of the new big box releases for Unmatched, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Unmatched is, if you're not familiar, a system of games. So it's a mechanical core for different games. This one happens to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer themed, but there is one for Jurassic Park, and there are a bunch of other ones. They all utilize a similar system again, and they can even be played against each other, so you can combine them. They are, as it says down here, a miniature dueling game. So you'll have one player picking one of these characters, another player picking a different one, and then battling on a board. In here, you're going to get 4 decks, so 4 characters. You have 2 boards, or the same board double-sided. And you're off to the races. You can also play team games, by the way. 2 versus 2, if you want to do it that way. But I'm not going to be showing you that. I'm just going to show you 1 versus 1. I'm going to be explaining it briefly again. Unmatched, I've covered quite a bit of other releases for them, so this is just in case you are not familiar with the system. Let's go ahead and take a look on the table at what this looks like. I'll see you on the other side. In the box, you are going to get 4 characters, each one with their matching deck and a sidekick, and you are going to get a board that is double-sided. So you can play on the bronze, which is this side here, or you can play Sunnydale High on this side. So we're going to go ahead and leave this side up, and I'll show you how this goes. Here we've got Buffy and we've got Willow. The game begins with each player drawing 5 cards, and on your turn, you are going to take 2 actions. Those actions come from this bank of 3 actions. You can do a maneuver, which is drawing a card, adding that to your hand, and then if you want to, moving your characters. You can move both, either or neither one. Your move is right here on this card, so Buffy and her sidekick will have 3. Willow will have 2. They can move 2 spaces. You can discard a card from your hand to boost that move and get farther away. You can play a scheme, which is an action card. You play that, you do whatever it says, and then you discard it. Or you can attack. You can attack if you are a melee fighter by being adjacent to someone. If you are a ranged fighter by being in the same zone, which is what these colored circles are for. You'll see Buffy and her sidekick will be melee. Willow, her sidekick, will be ranged over here. And actually, Willow is the only ranged character in the package. Everybody else is melee. So that's basically how the game goes. You will be drawing cards, moving around, either getting farther away or getting closer to the other player, trying to maneuver yourself into bringing their health down to 0. Willow begins with 14, as does Buffy. The sidekicks have 6 life, so when you eliminate the sidekick, you can remove this from the board, and they will no longer be available. Any cards that require them to be the ones playing that card will no longer be playable. So let's say we've got these 2 characters here. The way attacking works is Buffy might attack with this card. You'll select a card, you'll pick it and place it face down in front of you. The opponents may defend after you've done this. If they do, they will pick an appropriate card. They will place that face down. They are both revealed, and we compare them. They will have, over here on the side, who may play the card. It will either say Buffy or Xander or Giles or any. Okay? Buffy happens to have a special ability where at the beginning of the game, when you're setting up, your sidekick is either Giles or Xander, and you'll have to put this on the appropriate side, as well as the health dial here. And then you shuffle in 5 appropriate cards for that sidekick. So 5 cards will be out because they belong to Xander, and the 5 that belong to Giles will be in this scenario, okay? So, we're taking a look at these. This one over here is Terra, so it's actually, we're going to have to switch this around so that this is a legal defense. This can only be used as an attack or defend, it's both, by the sidekick. So we play them, and then we compare them. The values, of course, but before we get to that, we are going to check the text boxes. 3 things might happen here. Immediately means you do it right now, during combat, or after combat. If there is a timing issue, meaning both things say, for example, after combat, it's defender first, then the attacker. So there we go. These 2 are actually a push, 4 attack, 4 defense. And then we are going to check these after combat abilities. They might let you draw more cards, move your opponent around or do various things like that, okay? So that's what they do, and that's how attacking works. Now, each character does have a special ability over here, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Buffy over here may move through spaces containing opposing fighters, which is not normally a possibility. And then Willow can become Dark Willow, and that happens whenever she or Tara take damage. Then you flip this over to represent Dark Willow, and at the end of a turn, if you are adjacent to Tara, you will become Willow again. What does that mean? Well, some of the cards have a special ability at the bottom that you trigger if you are Dark Willow. So in this case, for example, this is a scheme, one of those action cards. It says draw 2 cards, but then below that, if you are Dark Willow, it says discard the top 2 cards of your deck, deal 3 damage to a sidekick in your zone, even if it's your own. So there you go. So these are going to be extra effects that happened while you are Dark Willow. And there are some cards in here that are going to allow you to Blind Boost. Blind Boost is a new ability to this series that a couple of characters in the deck, in the box rather, will have access to. It's very simple. If Willow here is attacking, and she is attacking, she is there, and she is attacking Buffy way over here. Don't forget, she has ranged, so that would be perfectly fine. Then we are going to have Buffy defending over here with this card, okay? They are both revealed, and we are going to compare them. So the first thing we do is immediately. There is no immediately effect on these. Then during combat. This one says during combat, blind boost this card. That means take a card from the top of the deck. So let's say this is my deck over here. And reveal it and add the boost value to this attack. That makes this a 7. Then that's done. This is a defense of 3, meaning the attack will hit for 4. And we are going to reduce Buffy's life by 4. Like so. And then this one says, after combat, Buffy recovers 1 health. Okay. So Buffy is back up to 11. And then these are discarded. So there you go. You continue doing that, taking 2 actions on your turn, drawing, managing your hand, scheming, until one of the 2 main characters is knocked down to 0. At that point, the other player wins. This is, of course, only for 2 players, but you can play 4 players on this board on either side because this is a large enough map. Some maps in this series only allow for 2 players, but these are fine for 4, and you'll see beginning positions for 1, 2, 3, and the 4th player there. So the main interests of the decks are Dark Willow over here, having either sidekick, where you can pick who is the sidekick, and you've got the main idea being Giles here is all schemes, allows you to generally have quite a few cards in your hand, things like that, hand control, or Xander, who is a heavy hitter, okay? If you put this in there, then Buffy will have no schemes at all in her deck. They all go with Giles over here. The other 2, let's take a look at. Here we've got Spike and we've got Angel. Now, Angel seems to be the most straightforward of the 4 characters. Angel has simply an ability that's going to keep them in cards. So every time they lose combat as the attacker, or the Psychic Faith attacks and they lose, you're going to draw a card. And then they begin with 16 health. Sidekick has 8, and the cards are just beefy, okay, for the most part. So you're going to have quite a few 4s, some 5 value attacks in there. Not a lot of special abilities and things like that going on. Spike over here is all about these shadow tokens. So you are going to be, as it says there, at the start of your turn, you may place a shadow token in any space adjacent to Spike or Drusilla, and they are going to influence the cards that you play. So if there's a shadow token adjacent to you when you do something, something else above and beyond happens. This character also has blind boosting in this deck. So I'll give you an example here. This is for the Psychic, Drusilla. It says, during combat, blind boost this card. If Drusilla's space has a shadow token, double the boost value. And then this one over here, which is for Spike. It's also a versatile card. During combat, if Spike or the opposing fighter is in a space with a shadow token, you may boost this card. Now, boosting is from your hand. Blind boosting is from the deck, okay? So there you go. There's also, you will see here, a lot of cards that are versatile, meaning they are both attack and defense in this deck. But the values are considerably weaker across the board than, say, Angel's cards. So there you go. That's what you're getting in the box. That is what it's all about. Let's go ahead and go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. Unmatched Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the ultimate test as to whether I really like the Unmatched system, the mechanisms of Unmatched. Because I'll tell you right now, I couldn't care less about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've never seen any of the TV show. I've never read anything about it. Just the faintest amount of familiarity is what I have with the theme because of this game, okay? That's it. That's basically it. I know a little bit from having a couple of folks tell me, like, oh, this is kind of what that's like. This is who this is. Okay, I got it. Having said that, this is good, okay? Unmatched is a fun game. It does not matter what theme they throw on there. I can have a good time. Would it be better for me if this was a different theme that I cared about? Yeah, that's how intellectual properties work, right? But I still enjoyed this. I still had a good time with it. I have no problem bringing this out to the table and having a go. So if you are someone who is a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, take everything I'm saying and add more grains of salt. Take away grains of salt. You know what I mean. You'll like it better than I did. Even more than I did, okay? Let's talk about it. Theme. I don't care. If you do, then great. It doesn't get a thumbs down. It doesn't get a thumbs up. I also don't think it's necessarily that thematic, I think. These decks felt largely like some of the other decks. They had a couple of cool things where, like, apparently Willow, when she goes insane, can hurt even her friends. Okay. Stuff like that. It's okay. The aesthetics here are gorgeous. They are neon-soaked and bold and splashy, and I like the artwork and the color choices. Everything is kind of bombastic. That works for me. I don't know if that's what the show looks like, but I like the look of everything in here. I think the miniatures are very nice. The molds, the sculpts, the cards have great artwork. It's a good-looking game. And it gives me that feeling of I'm guessing Buffy's from the 90s. It's got sort of that 90s sensibility in the color scheme and the choices they made. So that's great. The replay value, great. 4 decks, 2 battlefields, team play if you want that. The characters feel generally distinct. Especially, there's sort of like Willow and then Spike or whatever his name is. Is that right? I better open this up so I can see. Yeah, that's his name, Spike. So Willow and Spike are different decks. They feel distinct. The other two, Angel definitely doesn't really for me. That one's my least favorite. It doesn't do anything. It just sort of is like, here's a deck, it works, it's got some beefy cards. And then Buffy is fine. I like that after you see who your opponent picked, you can then pick one sidekick or the other. Okay, alright, that's fine, But then it doesn't really do anything else particularly interesting. The blind boost stuff, I enjoy that. But anyway, still a decent amount of replay value. In the bigger context of things, meaning as part of the Unmatched world, it's 4 new decks, so there is that. But I think if you are a seasoned player, these aren't really bringing anything particularly crazy and new, except the blind boost, like I said, which is neat. I like that. I hope that that's in other sets. The game arc here. It's good, as is, again, much of Unmatched. There's a lot of card draw in these decks. I noticed that. There were some moments where some of the players got decked, meaning, their deck ran out. And so you take damage when that happens, when you would have to draw cards and all that. So that was interesting. I haven't really seen a whole lot of that with previous releases. I think it's just because there's a little more card draw and the blind boost burns through your deck as well. So that was neat. I liked seeing that. But yeah, it was fine. I think the game arc is good. I think it's a little, with some of the characters, maybe like Angel, it's a little sort of tit for tat. It's a little back and forth, and so it's not very exciting. Come up to you, hit you, back away, or defend and smack you again, that sort of thing. Ease of play. All the decks are easy to play. The most complex one is probably Spike, and that's easy too. It's pretty straightforward. You just do what it says. Make sure you don't forget to account for that fog when it's somewhere that matters. Is the deck as good as the Invisible Man from Cobble and Fog, another release in Unmatched that uses a similar idea? No, I like Invisible Man better. That's more interesting. It uses the sort of, I think it's fog in that one too also. I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's sort of like, this idea of pieces moving around helping you. That's more interesting in that one than in this one. But it works well, and I don't have an issue with it. Lastly, tactics, luck, strategy. This one I'm going right down the middle because I would say, again, that this is a little simpler than the average Unmatched set. And thinking of just this in a bubble, I would have a good time with this. If this was my first Unmatched set, I would play this and I would go, I still don't care about Buffy. This is fun. I like this set, and I would rate it what I'm about to rate it, which is not bad. I want to make sure that's you're not thinking I'm going to go like, whoa, he gave it a high score after he talked not so highly about it. No, I'm just nitpicking, okay? What I'm saying is, I would, if this was my only experience with the system, I would have a good time with the back and forth, chasing you down, smacking you, going crazy, Willow and, rampaging, all that stuff. But I wouldn't necessarily think, wow, this game is really strategic. It has some nice tactics, but I wouldn't, again, have, like, the appreciation I think I do for the system now that I've played all these different sets and can see the depth to which they've plumbed the mechanisms. So I want to make you aware of that. Again, if you are someone who has never played Unmatched and you love Buffy, I think you're going to have a fantastic time with this game. I really do. For one thing, you don't have a lot of Buffy choices. But even so, this is going to be super fun for you. Okay? You're going to be discovering a whole layer that I'm not even picking up on. Right? Having said all of that, as I opened with, mechanically, this is still robust. Do I like some of the other sets better? Yeah, most of the other sets I like better. But it still works. It still sings. This is going to get an 8 out of 10 from me. I still think Unmatched is filled with potential. I cannot wait to see what else they come up with. It seems they continue discovering combinations of cards, mechanisms. I hope that, like I said, somebody uses the blind boost idea. I really like that, especially for a character who loses control because you're never sure what you're getting. It's such a cool thematic sort of touch. I really like that. So there you go. 8 out of 10, like I said. That's it. That is Unmatched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you did play this and you are a big Buffy fan. Did you love the theme? Did you find it wanting? What did you think of that? I'm curious to hear your thoughts as to how much the theme did for you. Okay? And that's going to do it for me. My name is Z Garcia. I'm going to see you on the next one. Bye-bye. I think I forgot my name there for a second.